Okay, welcome everybody to the Management 175 Understanding Document Types. This session is about articles in business and management research, and we'll be looking at the variety of articles that are out there so that you get a better understanding of what you're actually looking at. So information is packaged into different types of documents: books, magazine and journal articles, blogs, tweets, other government and company documents. These are all packages of information, and they will all give you different types of answers for the question or the problem that you're actually looking at. So what we're going to do is sort of go through 5 core article types so that you can get a better understanding of the differences between them and have a better understanding of that, so that when you start to actually research and search our databases, you'll understand what it is you're looking at and how you're going to be able to use it. So first and foremost, the first option is to look at the scholarly article. This is the core key academic document type. Its purpose is to present original research and experimentation. It goes through a pretty rigorous peer review process. So the target audience is somebody who has some understanding of the content and somebody who wants to know a much deeper level of the content. So a quick walkthrough. A student in class considers an idea to conduct research into good customer service techniques. They go out to, say, Target and Walmart and interview a bunch of their representatives and identify and collect data on how they effectively handle customer service requests. They take that new information and pull it into basically a data set. They then look back at prior research. This is where the cited articles come from. This is why almost every scholarly article, every peer-reviewed article has a bibliography, because they've looked back at other research similar to what they've done. It then goes through a review process. The student, the author, compiles all this information together, writes the paper, comes up with a conclusion and recommendations based on this new data, based on the prior research, and then submits it to a journal. Once they submit it to this journal, the editor takes it and hands it over to a peer review group, who then basically tears this article apart, critiquing it, suggesting changes. They take this critiqued article, give it back to the author, and the editor then says, okay, it's a good idea, but you need to fix it, and then we'll publish it. So the important thing to remember about a peer-reviewed scholarly article is that it's not timely. It's very deep because of all that prior research and because of all that new data, but it's not something that just happened a week or two ago. It's gone through 6, 8, 10 months of working on it, writing it, rewriting it. So it includes things like, International Journal of Innovation Management, the Journal of Finance. There's lots of very specific academic-sounding publications that do this. And what we'll do is we'll look at a quick example to show you some tips and key things to look for. So I'm going to zoom in. Notice that the title of this article is a good clue. Green R&D, Technology Spillovers and Market Uncertainty, an Empirical Investigation. So right in the title, they're telling you we've done some sort of study, some sort of survey, some sort of research collection. Notice also, as I zoom in a little bit more, this is a 25-page paper. Scholarly articles, peer-reviewed articles, are never short. Anything under 4 or 5 pages is highly unlikely to be a peer-reviewed article. because of all that work that they have to build into it. Notice also over here on the right, there's this cited references. So this article cites 43 other articles that somehow relate to this type of research. What that then lets you do is you can actually look back in time to see what this author looked at and to find similar articles, basically helping you in your research. And then the abstract itself includes an explanation of what they were actually studying, how they collected it, what their key questions were. Now, often you'll also see, in addition to the cited references, how many times an article has been cited. And that gives you an idea of how important that article is in relationship to the rest of the research content that's there. So now let's jump back to our presentation. And there's another example here, and actually there'll be 2 examples for every article type. This is for you to explore after watching this video. So the next most important article type is a trade article. A trade article is in very practical publications like Beverage World, Plastics News, Adweek. Every industry has at least one trade magazine that covers what's happening in it. And some industries, bigger industries, have several. So what's unique about the trade article? Well, it's very practical. It's written by people within an industry targeting people in that industry. These are highly unlikely that you'll ever find these on the shelf at Barnes & Noble's. What do you use them for? You use them for analyzing an industry. You look for examples of what companies are doing. You look for actual case studies of companies implementing a new HR program, detailing what their supply chain is. Not very rigorous as far as research is concerned. The important thing here is it presenting the factual information that the author found, and is it doing it in a timely manner? So here, these are going to be much more timely when you compare it to the scholarly peer-reviewed article. There's minimal review process. It might go to an editor or an editorial staff, and then they will probably get it published into the magazine as quickly as they can. So let's take a peek at an example here. So this example here, The Skinny on Pepsi, is an article that discusses new packaging for the Diet Pepsi product. Now, if you're looking at how you compete with Pepsi, let's say you're Coca-Cola, you might want to know what they're doing. This is the kind of article that will give you some insight into their new packaging. Notice there's no cited references over on the left. Notice that this is from Beverage World, and it's about 2 pages long. So that's a good comparison between what we were just looking at. So now let's jump back to our presentation and move right along into regional magazines. Now, regional magazines are similar to trade articles, trade magazines. Very practical information, usually focusing on specific companies and specific people, but the additional focus will be on the regional, local, city impact. So, for example, you might have an interview coming up with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is headquartered in Atlanta, so it would probably be useful to look at the Atlanta Business Journal to see if they have any interviews with executives, discussion about the company's tactics or strategies that haven't made it to a national level. Because since they're headquartered in that city, that Atlanta Business Journal is going to care about what Coke is doing at a much finer detail than other major publications. So these are a good source to find, especially, like I said, You can find interviews with middle managers, executives that can be really useful for an interview. They almost never do any major academic level research, so there will be almost no citations or articles here. It's just going to be reporting on something. And again, similar to the trade articles, there's just sort of a minimal fact-checking process. So this article right here is from the Travel Trade Gazette, UK and Ireland. It's 1/6 of a page long, so this is just a little tiny information blurb about how some top hotels have partnered to create sort of a portal website. No cited sources and no citations to this article. Now moving from regional into newspaper articles are often regional, but they don't have to be. There are publications like the Wall Street Journal that will cover very international, national topics. Their purpose is to report on events and sort of tell you what happened and keep track of what's happening. Notoriously, these are used for localized information or to just get perspective on these current events. Again, these are reporters trying to fill the pages of the paper. They're often targeted to specific hot events that are happening. There isn't any prior research most of the time, unless they're doing some sort of big in-depth expose. But again, they won't really do much in-depth research. Basic fact-checking, minimal review by staff. Often, newspapers will err on the side of trying to tell their version of the story, even if they make mistakes, because they can always correct the mistakes tomorrow because of the compressed timeliness of newspapers. Jumping in and looking at an article. So here's one from the Wall Street Journal about how travelers are now bypassing boutique hotels, so that there are at least one, if not a couple of companies that are looking at doing things differently and sort of rebranding their hotels because things aren't working. No cited references, and basically just a question at the bottom. So this is just reporting on what a company is doing. All right, so let's keep moving along. Finally, there's the general business article. The general business article is a source of information from a major business magazine like Business Week, like Fortune, Forbes. They will cover major industries, big international, national issues. They will cover very important people who are impacting the economy, major industries. These can give you a very national, global perspective. To go back to the Coca-Cola comparison here, they may cover Coca-Cola because of what they've done with flavored carbonated beverages. However, they might not cover that issue or that topic again for 3, 4, 5, 6 months because it's not a big news item to them anymore. Sometimes they'll conduct a little bit of research, look at some other articles and information that's out there, rarely cited in the article though. Might just be mentioned briefly within the context of the reporter's writing, that they looked at some other report. Again, sort of just a professional review process to make sure, is everything okay and how is it going to fit into what they're writing about. So here's one from Fortune magazine, and this is a different perspective of an entrepreneur trying to create a very unique niche market into boutique hotels on action sport enthusiasts. This is about a page long, and again, no cited sources, and I could then track down the full text some other way. So to wrap this all up, there are different types of packages that information come in. You've got to start to understand what these packages are, what they do for you, and what kind of answers they're going to give you as you conduct your deeper research for the assignments in Management 175 and for the assignments that you'll have in all of your future classes. Finally, these 5 types are not all of the article types that exist. There are other things like press releases. There are other documents like company financial reports, white papers, as I mentioned before, blogs, market research reports that we'll look at in another video. So keep in mind that the package that the information you have does matter, and trying to figure out which package to get will help you conduct better research. If you've got any questions, go ahead and either email us or talk to us in class. Thanks very much.